Riven Hark stood at the edge of the launch deck, grease on his fingers and a broken tool in his hand. The hangar lights above flickered like they always did. Around him, voices echoed loud, mocking, never kind. "Look at the human again." One of the reptilian cadets hissed to his group. "Does he even lift tools with those bones?" Riven didn't look at them. He was used to it. The same as the same. His limbs were thin, his posture crooked, his walk uneven from an old injury. The alien trainees came from 5 proud Empire species, born for war, bred for battle. They had fangs, claws, armor bones. Riven had none of that. He just had his hands. And his mind. So he worked in the shadows of the shipyards, repairing power nodes, placing hull plating, and quietly listening to the hum of machines. He didn't need approval. He just needed a quiet place. That place was Hangar 17, a section sealed off by rusted chains and ancient warning signs. "Danger," it read in dozens of alien languages. "Do not enter." Even the bravest cadets stayed away. Rumors said something inside was cursed, something that destroyed minds, something that once belonged to Earth. One night, long after lights out, Riven wandered there again. He wasn't supposed to, but rules were never made for people. No one noticed. He ran his fingers over the cold lock panel. No sound but the low buzz of an inactive control core. Then it happened. Whisper. Not through ears, but in his head. "Skin recognizes kin," it said. He froze. "Who said that?" He whispered aloud. No answer. He looked around empty. The hallway outside was still dark. No guards. No cameras. It's just him. He reached again for the panel. It blinked once, then green. The lock slid open without his input. Metal chains unraveled. Like snakes. With a heavy thud, the doors creaked apart. Releasing a warm gust of stale air, Riven stepped inside. The hangar was massive, easily the size of a stadium. The air inside felt alive. The lights flickered softly, as if responding to his breath. The center of the bay sat a ship. Not just old ancient. Its surface wasn't metal, not completely. It had texture, veins, smooth folds. Black as the void outside, yet pulsing faintly with dark red light, like a heart deep in sleep. Riven approached slowly. He couldn't help it. His body moved without thought. As he reached out, the ship reacted. A soft shimmer ran across its hull, and that same voice, calm, female, eternal, returned to his mind. "I remember you," it said. "Not your body, but your blood." He stumbled back, heart racing. "What are you?" He whispered no answer. His hand shook as he touched the side of the ship. It felt warm, not metallic. It's almost like skin. He stepped around it slowly, eyes wide. Symbols lined the side ones he couldn't understand but felt oddly familiar. Almost like Earth letters, but twisted, sharper. A soft hiss came from beneath. A hatch lowered slightly, just enough for a step inside. He didn't go in, not yet, but something had changed. The moment he touched it, he felt it. A link, pull. In his chest, outside the hangar, alarms were still silent. The world was quiet. The stars outside blinked gently through the viewing panel. Riven stood there, staring at the ancient ship that should not exist. One the empires had locked away, forgotten, and sealed from history. But it waited. It chose. And it spoke only to him. Suddenly he heard footsteps echoing from the corridor. Panicked, Riven backed away from the ship and slipped into the shadows. A pair of alien guards walked past the open hangar without even glancing inside. One of them muttered, "Why is this sector unlocked?" The other shrugged. Probably a glitch. The hangar Riven pressed his back to the wall, heart pounding. He looked at the ship again. It hadn't moved, but he could still feel it, waiting, watching, whispering. "You are not weak, Riven Hark," it said at last. "You were just waiting for your skin." And then the lights inside the hangar went out completely, leaving only the soft, heartbeat-like glow of the ship in the darkness. Riven didn't sleep that night. He lay on his cot in the cramped dorm, surrounded by the soft snores and murmurs of the alien cadets who mocked him every day. The same ones who would spit near his boots in the mess hall or shove past him during drills. But tonight, none of that mattered. His mind was fixed on the thing in Hangar 17. The ship, the voice, the strange warmth that had moved up his arm. When he touched its skin, he turned his hand over in the dark. The same fingers he had always used to tighten bolts and lift broken plates were now different. Veins shimmered faintly beneath the skin, dark, almost black, as if the ancient ship had left something inside him. A connection. A mark. By morning the veins had faded. Almost he tried to hide his hand with a long glove as he made his way back to the lower shipyards. But the alien cadets noticed everything. A burly, tusked Broggic male stood in his path. "Did your bones break under a wrench again, human?" he sneered, slapping the side of Riven's locker. Riven didn't respond. He moved past him quickly, silent, focused. He needed to get back to the hangar, but Hangar 17 was sealed again. The chains were back, the control panel dead. Like nothing had ever happened. Like nothing had ever happened. Still, Riven stepped closer. He pressed his palm to the cold wall. Nothing. No voice, no hum, no warmth. He whispered, "I'm here." Still nothing. Then, just as he turned to leave, he saw at a small panel near the floor, loose. Not metal, not stone. Living material. As if the ship itself had extended part of its body outward through the wall. A signal. An invitation. Later that night, he returned with tools and a portable light. He waited until everyone in the barracks was asleep, then slipped into the maintenance tunnels. He didn't know why he felt so drawn to the ship, but something inside him burned with curiosity and something else. ... Belonging. This time, when he reached out, the wall opened. It folded inward, revealing a narrow passage. The same voice echoed again. "You came back. You heard me." He stepped inside. The air in the secret tunnel was warm, like breath. He moved slowly, brushing past smooth walls that pulsed faintly. With each step, the deeper he went, the more he felt it, not fear, not even awe. Just recognition, like he was coming home to a place he'd never seen. He emerged once more inside the hangar. But it looked different now. Alive. Lights swirled faintly around the ship. Its hull shimmered as though it sensed him. The ship was repairing itself. The massive split down its right wing, once rusted and caved in, was now slowly sealing, glowing with light. As he approached, panels lifted on their own. Cables extended. Toward him, waiting. "You are the last of those who remember what I am," the voice said, clearer now. "You are of Earth, and I was made for Earth's sky." He frowned. "Earth's fleet was destroyed centuries ago. They say we never had ships like this, not like you." The ship answered, "Because they feared what I was, what humans could become when we merged." Riven stepped closer. He didn't understand half of what it said, but his hands moved on instinct. He placed tools to panels, tested current through dormant circuits, patched fractured conduits. The ship, it responded faster, stronger, like it had been waiting for him to repair it, or like it was healing itself through him. A panel opened near the base. Out. It revealed a glowing core, flickering weakly like a dying flame. He stared. "Is this your heart?"
Out.
"It is your memory," it replied. "Open it." He hesitated, then reached forward. The moment his fingers touched the core, a surge of light flashed across the hangar. Vision slammed into his brain, images of Earth in golden light. Human fleets soaring like birds of fire, entire galaxies watching in silence as one ship, this ship, broke through enemy lines like a spear of vengeance. He gasped and fell to one knee. The images faded, but something remained. A memory not his. A war no one told him about. Ship no one dared speak of. And somehow, this ship still lived. He stood slowly. "What are you?" he asked, trembling. The voice answered gently. "I am the skin of Earth's first fury." "I am what?" They locked away. "You are my last pilot." Suddenly, a loud sound echoed from above heavy boots. Voices, guards. Riven panicked. He quickly sealed the core, grabbed his tools, and backed into the shadows as the outer doors creaked open. Alien soldiers stepped inside, their weapons scanning the hangar. One of them spoke into his cum. "There's activity here," he said. "Power readings. That cursed thing might be waking up." The second nodded grimly. "The High Council must be told. If it's really moving, they'll want it destroyed." Riven's heart pounded. They were going to kill it, but deep inside the ship, a pulse of light flickered, and the voice returned, now cold. "If they touch me again," it said, "I will not sleep. I will not forgive, and I will not be stopped." Riven knew then he couldn't let them take it. Whatever this ship truly was, it had chosen him, and he would defend it, even if it meant war. Asterisk. The alien commander's voice was sharp and full of suspicion as it echoed through the hangar. "Step away from the hull," he barked, his weapon already raised. Riven stood frozen, his hands still resting on the warm surface of the ship. The ancient vessel pulsed beneath his fingers, almost like it was waiting for a command. He didn't move. His heart hammered in his chest, but he refused to back away. "Not this time," I said. "Step away," the commander shouted again, stepping closer. Behind him, 3 armored soldiers aimed their blasters, their glowing visors locked on Riven. "I didn't do anything," Riven said calmly. "I was just fixing the wall panels. That's my job." The commander narrowed his eyes. "Then why is the ship active? It's been dead for centuries, and now it glows when you're near?" Riven didn't answer. He didn't have to. The air shifted before anyone could blink. The ship responded. The ground trembled as thin panels along the hull slid open like ribs, and a low thrumming hum filled the hangar. The ship's shadow stretched across the floor, and then a sphere of glowing energy erupted between Riven and the soldiers, forcing them back with a blast of heat. Weapons clattered to the floor. Guards screamed, shielding their eyes. From behind him, the ship's voice rang out, this time not only in Riven's mind, but aloud in a deep, resonant tone that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "This one is chosen. Strike him, and I will strike you back with memory." The lights in the hangar dimmed, panels shattered, sparks danced through the air. The soldiers scrambled backward, panic on their faces. The commander barked orders, but they retreated, leaving their weapons behind. Within seconds, the massive doors slammed shut again, sealing Riven alone inside with the ship. He stood in the silence, stunned. The voice returned to his mind soft again. "You are not ready to pilot me yet, but you must bond or they will come back. With fire." Riven hesitated, sweat dripping from his brow. "Bond," he whispered. "How?" A part of the ship's surface folded open like a flower, revealing a smooth seat shaped like a cocoon. Pulses of light ran across its soft red, fading to black. "I don't know if I can," he said aloud. "I'm not a warrior. I'm not even a real pilot. I can't fight fleets." "You don't need to be a warrior," the ship replied. "You only need to be human." It stopped him. No one had ever said that to him like it was enough. Everywhere in the Empire, being human was considered a disadvantage, too fragile, too emotional, too soft. But this ship didn't just accept that. It needed it. He stepped toward the seat. As he approached, the ship's skin shimmered. The inner walls changed, panels split open, revealing strange scripts, ancient earth runes twisted with alien markings. Some he understood without knowing how. Diagrams of nerve systems, heartbeats, brainwaves. It wasn't just technology, it was living memory. He sat. The moment his body touched the cocoon, the seat folded over him, not to trap but to connect. Thin fibers wrapped his arms, his chest, his spine, his breath caught. He gasped as the ship filled his head with light, flashes, sounds, data, millions of moments, a history long erased. He saw Earth blue, broken, burning, and then rising again, a fleet born from its ashes. He saw this ship once, called Vanguard of Silence. A vessel created not just for war but for vengeance. Forged after humanity was nearly wiped out in a forgotten galactic betrayal. A ship designed not to be controlled, but to choose its pilot based on pain, rage, and hope. And it had chosen When he opened his eyes, the hangar looked different. His vision had sharpened. He could hear the engines humming softly like breathing. The panels displayed information in real time. He didn't even need to touch anything. The ship responded to thought, motion, instinct. The link had begun. But it wasn't perfect. Suddenly pain hit him sharp and hot. His chest tightened. The cocoon shivered and released him. Stumbled. Out, coughing, gasping for air. "You are incomplete," the ship said gently. "Your body is not ready, but your mind is compatible." Riven collapsed against the wall, eyes wide, sweat pouring down his face. "What now?" He whispered. "They'll be back. They'll destroy you." "Then we finish the bond before they return," the voice said. "One piece at a time, nerve to nerve, memory to memory. We will hold Riven Hark. We will burn their sky." At that moment, distant alarm began to sound across the outer decks of the station. Heavy footfalls, boots, soldiers, they were returning in this time. They weren't coming with questions. They were coming to end the legend before it began. The sirens howled across the station like dying wolves, and red lights bathed the corridors outside Hangar 17 in blood-colored pulses. Riven stood frozen inside the ancient warship, his chest heaving. His legs trembled not from fear, but from something deeper. The bond had begun, and it had changed him. His senses were sharper now. The walls of the ship whispered things to him, data, streams, power levels, warnings in languages he didn't know, but somehow understood. The warship wasn't just awake, it was aware, outside. Voice barked through loudspeakers. "This is Commander Trakel of the Unified Fleet. You are in violation of interstellar codes. Step away from the vessel or be terminated." Riven stared at the black cocooned seat behind him. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The ship was ready, but was he? The ship spoke again, not in his mind this time, but through the speaker systems embedded. In the hangar itself, the voice was calm, almost motherly. "You bring fire to the bones of the last sentinel. You truly wish to burn, little empire?" That made them pause. Riven felt it, the hesitation, even through steel and plasma. That voice carried a warning the old races remembered in their bones. He heard Commander Trakel answer after a pause, his voice cracking just slightly. "You are a forgotten myth, relic. You don't scare us." "Any more?" The ship didn't reply. Instead, a panel opened on its side. Riven watched as a ramp unfolded from beneath, leading up toward the cockpit chamber. "One choice, Riven Hark," the ship said softly in his mind. "Merge with me fully, or we both die tonight." He swallowed hard. Every instinct told him to run, to survive. But another voice, deep in his gut, louder than fear, rose up. "They already made fun of you. They already wrote you off. So what's left to lose?" He ran. Boots pounding across the hangar floor, he leaped onto the ramp and climbed. The doors sealed behind him. The moment he stepped into the chamber, the air shimmered, and the seat unfolded again, glowing brighter this time. As he slid into it, the cocoon closed tighter around his frame. Not suffocating, embracing. Cables and living fibers reached for his arms, spine, neck. They didn't pierce him. They fused with skin, nerve, and blood. 1,000 data lines rushed into his brain at once. Pain, then clarity, then something impossible the ship let him see. Outside the hangar, inside the enemy barracks, the fleet's engines, their heat signatures, their nervous systems, everything mapped out like glowing blue webs. But more than that, he could feel their doubt, the fear they buried under orders and pride, the moment. Riven's neural link synced with the ship's core. The ship stood, not with wheels or landing gear, but like a creature uncurling from a long sleep. Its black surface peeled apart like shifting plates. Wings extended not for atmosphere, but for gravitational control. The pulse in the air changed. The hangar began to vibrate, and then the ship spoke again. "Not to Riven, to everyone. Your kind took my sisters. Your fleets buried my memory. You called my pilot weak. Now witness what you've forgotten." The roof of Hangar 17 cracked apart. Circular portal opened, one that had remained sealed for over 200 years. Dust and rust broke loose as ancient systems, long thought dead, powered up. Massive clamps released their grip on the docking ring with a groan so loud it shook. The station outside, on the deck above, alien engineers screamed as air burst out from the sudden release. Lights across the station flickered. Warnings blared. Fighters scrambled, unprepared. Inside the cockpit, Riven gripped the armrests. "How do I fly you?" he whispered. The ship responded. "You don't fly me. You become me." His eyes widened. Suddenly, the walls around him vanished, not physically but visually. He could see everything, from every angle. The ship had given him full sensory input. He was no longer sitting inside it. He was it. Above, dozens of alien ships formed a blockade. Gunships, interceptors, cruisers, they were ready to fire. Riven didn't even think. The ship moved like a thought, faster than anything built in this era. It shot through the roof like a black spear, spinning midair, its plating shifting into razor-pointed armor. Enemy turrets fired. Plasma bolts rained down. The ship spun sideways in all the blasts. Bent around, it redirected by micrograviton shields to advance for current tech to detect. Within seconds, Riven was in open space, staring down a fleet that had mocked his species since before he was born. He felt his heart race. Not with fear. With power inside him, the ship hummed like a dragon breathing in. "Say the word Riven," it whispered. He stared at the enemy fleet. They were hesitating. Even now, they didn't know should they engage or retreat. He spoke 2 words, soft but certain. "Let's begin." And the ship unleashed fire from the stars. Asterisk, they didn't expect him to strike first. Not the Braggic destroyers, not the Zyran interceptors, not the Varnic dreadships hovering inconfident. Formation above Zelvar Prime's upper orbit. He thought he would hesitate. Talk, surrender. Humans always hesitated. It was what made them weak in the eyes of the empires. But Riven wasn't human anymore in the way they understood. He didn't press buttons. He didn't pilot with a yoke, he thought, and the ship moved. The ancient warskin, now pulsing with black heat and glowing veins, roared like a waking beast. Fire built in its wings, not from engines but from something deeper, something older. The stars themselves dimmed around its form. Then it attacked. The first to fall was the Zyran Interceptor Squadron. 7 sleek ships launched toward him, spiraling in perfect sync. They locked weapons. Their AI trackers targeted the human ship's energy core, but the Vanguard didn't dodge. It shifted. Its skin rippled and reshaped like liquid armor. The blasts passed through harmless folds in space-time, as if the vessel was stepping half a second ahead of reality. Riven didn't fully understand it. He didn't need to. His body sat still in the living cockpit, heart pounding, but his mind was soaring, wrapped in layers of memory, instinct-powered. With one thought, he launched a pulse-wave sphere of inverted gravity that bloomed out silently and crushed all 7 interceptors mid-flight. Not with heat, not with impact, but with pressure. Their hulls collapsed like tin, no alarms, no explosions, just silence and dust. The Braggic destroyers. Panicked, who gave the order to engage? Someone shouted through an open channel. "This is no Earth tech. What is this?" And with a lurch, it zipped toward the destroyer line. No ship should have moved that fast, not that big. It was as if reality bent out of its way. Riven cut through the middle ship like a blade through smoke. The hull cracked open, venting fire and crew into the void. Behind him, the ship whispered, "This is how Earth fought when it had nothing left to lose." Riven's jaw tightened. Let's show them we still don't. But as powerful as he felt, the ship had limits. The bond wasn't fully complete. Each pulse of energy drained him. Vessels ached, even though he wasn't moving. His thoughts slowed with every maneuver. It's like thinking through syrup, and the enemy adapted. The Varnock dreadships regrouped. Dozens of their cannons locked on his path. A field of plasma nets was launched, creating a prison in space. Riven felt them forming. He dove, spiraling through the mines. Bolts struck it and bounced. Then came the spear. One of the dread ships fired a charged kinetic slug the size of a house. Riven couldn't outrun it, but he didn't have to. He focused. The Vanguard's core heated, and suddenly the ship stopped. Not slowed, stopped. Instantly. Everything around it blurred. The slug passed where he should have been, and he countered. The ship launched. Forward, again this time inside the enemy formation, it opened. Riven didn't even know what he was seeing. The ship unfolded like a blooming flower, its inner ribs glowing red. Tendrils of light reached out, not weapons but data spikes. They pierced enemy ship systems. Not to destroy them, to rewrite them. Enemy screens flashed with memories. Human memories. Riven's own pain, his isolation, his years of humiliation. His hands covered in grease. The names they called him: fragile, worm, worthless. And then they saw what he had become. Not a fighter, not a hero, just a man who refused to be ignored. The enemy fleet hesitated. You could feel it like a chill in open vacuum.
Ack!
They saw something that no battle strategy could plan for: a weapon. That felt. The ship spoke again, this time to all frequencies. This is not vengeance. This is remembrance. You buried Earth in silence, but silence learned to scream. Riven wanted to speak, but his throat was dry. It was trembling. He could feel the ship draining him to keep flying, to keep fighting. "You're burning me out," he whispered. The ship answered softly. "You are still incomplete. Your flesh fights my code. I need more of you, deeper." "What happens if we complete the bond?" he asked. A pause. Then gently, "You'll never be the same. May not come back out." He looked at his hands. One was already dark, like the ship's skin. Almost metallic. His reflection in the glass showed one eye glowing faint red. "Do it," he said. "Are you certain?" He smiled, bitter and calm. "They already called me a ghost." Then everything changed. The cockpit folded inward. The ship swallowed him whole. There was no seat now, no screen, just him floating inside the ship's core. His thoughts stretched across every system. He felt every bolt, every coil, every scar. He became the ship, and the ship became him. That moment. The Vanguard of Silence was no longer a myth. It was a man with a name. A man whose voice echoed across space as the final words reached every command post in orbit. "Your fleets are brave, but you mock the wrong body." Asterisk. There was no cockpit anymore. There was no flesh, at least. Not the kind Riven had lived with his entire life. He was no longer inside the Vanguard. He was the Vanguard. His bones had become its hull, his heartbeat, its pulse engine. His thoughts spread across systems older than most empires. Sensors stretched like nerves across light years. He could hear everything not with ears, but with awareness. He felt the vibration of plasma blasts before they struck. He sensed magnetic shifts from cloaked ships hiding beyond asteroid belts. He detected a Zyran scout ship 3,000 kilometers away whispering on encrypted channels, begging for reinforcements. He didn't move. He didn't have to. The Vanguard drifted. In stillness, black and jagged, glowing softly in deep crimson, the color of memory across from him, the Varnock dreadship Emperor's fist loomed. Over 4 kilometers long, it was considered unstoppable. Its command deck housed a high strategist from the core empire, and its shields were layered with quantum absorption tech. It had wiped out fleets before, but now it hesitated. Inside the dreadship, chaos reigned. Riven could see it not visually but emotionally. Could feel the panic bleeding through the link the Vanguard had embedded in their systems. Through the ancient data spikes, he felt their fear, their anger, their confusion. They were trying to analyze him, measure him, label him. They didn't understand that this wasn't a weapon. It was a rebuke. Riven's thoughts surged. He remembered the first day he arrived at Zelvar Prime, dragging his tools behind him while alien cadets laughed and asked if his bones would break from lifting a laser cutter. He remembered patching ships alone while the others trained in combat drills, being locked out of simulation chambers. Denied combat credentials, told humans were better as cleaners or analysts. They mocked his frame, but his mind, they never saw it coming. He focused. The Vanguard's body twisted in space. Its wings flared, not with thrust, but with radiant gravitational pressure. The dreadship responded, launching its full payload, dozens of hyperspeed torpedoes, tipped with singularity cores. Riven watched them come, each one spinning with lethal potential. He didn't dodge. Instead, called to the ship's oldest system, one he had seen only in fragments of memory. The skinfold drive. Space didn't bend. It peeled. Reality warped like paper curling under fire. Each torpedo slowed midair, frozen, caught in a ripple of compressed time. Then, without a sound, they turned reverse direction and shot back toward the dreadship that fired them. The explosion was like a silent blossom in the dark, a ripple of fire and debris, air vented into space. The dreadship split down the center, its command deck torn open like fruit, but Riven didn't cheer. He felt their deaths. It's not with joy, but with... Wait, the Vanguard didn't celebrate victory. It recorded it like a living archive. Every kill, every scream, every last heartbeat, stored, remembered, never forgotten, and inside him. Those memories swirled new and ancient mixing, like blood and water. His vision blurred. He wasn't just flying, he was absorbing outside. The remaining fleet fell back. Ships that had taunted Earth for centuries now sent distress calls to their homeworlds. The humans have returned. No, worse. One human has merged. But Riven wasn't finished. A Zyran warcruiser tried to escape at light jump. Range, the Vanguard read the particle signature, anticipated the jump before it. Happendan blinked forward, not through engines, through remembrance. The ship moved as if following a forgotten path, route carved in space only it could see. A shadow trail. He intercepted the cruiser mid-jump, merging just ahead of it, a blade waiting in the dark. He split the ship in half with a linear charge so precise, it left the escape pods untouched. He let them go. Let them tell the story. Let them warn the galaxy. The Vanguard of Silence had returned. But inside, Riven was breaking. His body, what remained of it, was weak. He could feel his skin hardening, cracking, turning dark like the ship's armor. His voice had stopped working. Long ago, his thoughts were slowing. He was becoming memory. The ship whispered, "You are no longer pilot. You are archive keeper." Last breath of a forgotten Earth. Trembled inside the void. What if I lose myself? He asked, barely able to form. The voice answered his own voice, now woven into the Vanguard. Then they will never forget you. Below on the orbital station, the alien cadets who once mocked him stared upward in silence. Their screens flickered. Command lines. Died. Weapons locked. Systems failed. A single human had turned off their entire sky, and as Riven drifted above them, lone inside a machine that remembered too much, a soft signal left the Vanguard broadcasting one message to every empire in every known language. A simple line. He was the last of Earth's weak, and you made him strong. And now, he was coming home. The stars no longer felt distant. They pulsed around him, breathing, alive, like eyes that finally saw him. Riven floated in the dark between systems, not in a ship, not behind controls, but as the Vanguard. There was no cockpit, no console, no separation between thought and motion. He was metal and memory, instinct and wrath. The ancient warskin had fully accepted him, and now, so had the void. But his heart. Somewhere deep inside the ship's corif, its still beat was heavy. The enemy fleets were gone. The dread ships, broken wreckage, the command stations, silent. The entire systems once mocking Earth had now gone dark, their pride reduced to whispers. They would remember the name Vanguard, and they would fear the human that bonded with it. But victory didn't feel like triumph. It felt like a quiet ache spreading through steel and bone, because Riven knew what the ship was doing. It wasn't just fighting enemies, it was absorbing him, piece by piece, layer by layer. The more they became one, the less of him remained. He couldn't feel his limbs anymore. He wasn't sure if he had any. He couldn't hear his voice. He wasn't. Sure, it still existed, but he could see you. He could see across the galaxies. Every sensor now fed into his mind like a river of light. He could hear solar winds, feel time ripple near black holes, watch empires shift in real time, squirming beneath news of his awakening. He had become legend before his bones were cold. Still, something inside him refused to fade. A single name. Earth, a broken place. Scorched, shamed, forgotten by the galaxy. Buried by the lies of alien archives, but not lost. Riven turned, not with thrusters or helm, but with thought. The Vanguard folded space around itself like a cloak and vanished, reappearing on the edge of a pale. Quiet system, blue, brown, green, green, Earth, floating like a bruise in the dark. Half-lit, its orbit crowded with junk, derelict satellites. In the old silence of abandonment, no human fleet defended it. No beacons flashed in orbit, just a long dead home. Exiled in memory, he drifted closer. Sensors scanned the surface. Ruins. Cities drowned in sand. Oceans pulling away from poisoned. Coasts. Wildlife mutated. Struggling yet clinging on. But at the core, beneath old stone and ash. Life. A signal. Weak. Buried deep. But human? Riven surged downward. The Vanguard sliced atmosphere without heat, descending like a black comet. He hovered above the surface of a cracked plateau once called Anatolia, beneath the rock shelters, subterranean colonies. Faint lights, people, hundreds, maybe more. They had survived. He hovered there in silence. His shadow fell across the dust, black and endless. Inside one of the shelters, a child stepped out. No older than 10, wrapped in rags, thin, wide-eyed. She stared at the sky him. Riven felt something stir in his fading human core, warmth. Not from power, but from purpose. The ship whispered, "Do you wish to speak to them, Rivenhark?" He hesitated. Could he? Was there anything left of him that could speak like a man? He tried. The Vanguard hummed on. A voice, synthesized but unmistakably his, echoed down across the valley. "Don't be afraid," it said. The child gasped. Others came. Women, elders, scattering of humans who had known only silence. They stared up, mouths open. "You are not forgotten," he said. "We remember Earth. We remember what they did. And we remember you." Someone fell to their knees. Others followed. One of them whispered, "Are you?" "A god," Riven wanted to say. No, but he wasn't sure anymore. He wasn't a man either. He was memory. He was warning. He was Earth's final echoan now, its first protector in centuries. Above them, the stars shifted again. Alien ships, distant and curious, approached the system. Watching, wondering if they could reclaim what was once easy to mock. But this time, they paused. The Vanguard was there, and Rivenhark was awake. He didn't fire. Not yet. Instead, he left one message across every come line, encrypted or open. It reached every fleet, every archive, every empire that once called Earth extinct. Humanity lives. The skin you laughed at now shields a world. Come for them and I will come for you. Then he went silent. He stayed above Earth, no longer drifting. A black sentinel, waiting, watching not. As a man, not as a myth, but as a shield forged in mockery and reborn in fire.